again, my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. Once again, I bring you the next chapter of Child of the Sea, Saviour of the Stars, written by chevsolo. Go check out the link in the description to bring you to the original work that they created. Additionally, if you have time, go to TikTok and give all the kudos to Lily Cat Person, as they were the one to create the wonderful AU idea of Percy Jackson is Ryland Grace. Before we start, please grab yourself something to snack on, something to drink at, sit back and relax. As we go quickly through the trigger warnings, so far there are no trigger warnings except the essential sense of loss and grief, as well as canon typical PTSD for both Percy and Ryland in both fandoms. And with that, how about we head into the video? Child of the Sea, Saviour of the Stars. An idea by @LilyCatPerson on TikTok. Written on AO3 by chevsolo. Read by Tilir. Chapter 2. Not Our Son. After a good 10-15 minute freakout on the floor in front of the viewpoint, he was ready for an even longer, more thorough freakout deeper into the ship. He'd torn through everything he could get his hands on after he picked himself up from the floor, reading manuals and charts he found. He figured whoever designed the ship, because it had to be a spaceship if he were in space, placed convenient little booklets near the crew quarters in case of a coma-induced amnesia. Though they weren't as close to the crew quarters as he would have liked. He might have taken it slightly better if he'd had a manual warning him. Hey, just down this hall, you're going to see an endless sea of darkness and death. To the right is the coffee maker, enjoy your stay. The manuals had a rough layout of the ship. From what he could tell anyway, the words had a tendency to float off the page. It was a slow read, but he eventually got the gist of it. There were things he knew were likely missing, like a power source, but the packet he'd grabbed first read Commander Yao, so he figured they each had their own roles and need to know information. Whoever Commander Yao was, he apparently didn't need to be worried about what powered the ship right off the bat, only how to operate it. Where's my packet? Knowing what he was supposed to be doing on his ship would help him figure out why he was there. But it would also help him get further into the ship, because he quickly realized there was more than just a mission he was forgetting. He'd forgotten himself, and the lady in the walls wouldn't let him advance past the hallway outside the crew's quarters until he gave a correct name. Just let me in, gosh darn it! He shouted at the door that, according to the manual, led to the labs, which led to the mental health room, which then led to the cockpit, where he needed to be to figure out where the hell he was and how to reach Earth.
Please state your name.
A growl tore through his throat as he dragged his hands through his hair, his makeshift toga slipping down his shoulder. He had taken to wearing the bed sheets he woke up in tied around him, oddly taken aback by how familiar it looked. He brushed it off in favor of figuring out this puzzle first. Emperor Comatose, your lord and savior.
Incorrect.
God dang it! What was his name? He'd only found 4 packets so far. Yao, Dubois, Ilyuchna, and Grace. 4 names. 5 people on this ship. At least. 2 bodies down below, and him stuck in the hall. So there were 2 people unaccounted for. Yao and Ilyuchna were dead. He'd found their name tags on the platforms with the corpses when he went back down, rather reluctantly, to find clothes. He didn't find anything with his name on it, but then again, he didn't remember his name, which was the whole problem. He wasn't Yao, he wasn't Ilyuchna, and neither Grace nor Dubois sounded right. So who was he? Why was he there? And what was he supposed to do? All right, let's take stock of what he does know. He's white, maybe mid-30s, male, or at least a map, but referring himself as he him felt right. Oddly heavily scarred, has some weird tattoo and muscular. He's blonde, but it felt fake, with sea green eyes and wrinkles around them. Like he used to smile a lot, but he didn't feel like a happy person. He was an enigma. That much he could tell, but perhaps he could start with something basic. John?
Correct.
Michael?
Correct.
Noah?
Correct.
Jason?
Correct.
Frustration kicked him in the gut with each wrong answer, and something akin to grief over the last one. It wasn't his name. He could feel it, but it felt important. It felt like the same loss he felt over Yao and Ilyuchna. He'll circle back to it when he remembers more. Pacing back and forth, he tugged on the beard he woke up with. It felt wrong. He'd need to trim it, but he wasn't letting the robot do it. He didn't trust that thing. Not even it keeping him alive helped. It couldn't help his friends alive. It couldn't keep his friends alive, so how could he trust it not to mess up his hair? Shaking himself out of the grief he felt building up, thinking of the people he didn't remember but knew were his friends. He tried to see if maybe coming at the name situation from another angle would help. Let's see. There were 4 packets, 4 sets of personal items, and 3 people in the crew's quarters. Maybe he was wrong in thinking there were 5 and he was one of the 4? But who? And where was the 4th? Had they woken up already and left for another part of the ship? Must be nice to get past the bossy lady and have all the memories. At least, he presumed as much. His theory didn't change the feeling of wrongness around it, but it was all he had at the moment. Sighing, he squinted at the door. Dubois?
Incorrect.
Throwing his hands up, he spun around and put his frustratingly locked door behind him. Which was a mistake, because it put him back face to face with space, so he just closed his eyes and prayed for the strength to tear the door down himself. This was getting ridiculous.